This is the Lean Builders Hoots on the Ground podcast with absolutely, positively no bullshito. Join us as we dig into exactly what lean construction is and how we can use these concepts and strategies in the field. This podcast will be different as we journey to job sites and mine the minds of lean builders, all in effort to pass forward building knowledge from those who have put their time in to learn a better way. Because that's just what lean builders do. What's up, y'all? Adam Hoots here, the Lean Builder Podcast, Hoots on the Ground with no bullshito. And I'm coming to you today with Mr. James Bouton. Did I say that right?
Oh, you got it, man. Trust me, I hear it wrong all the time, dude. So
what are some of the funniest versions people have used of your name?
Let's see, Bouton, Button. Yeah. Button's the big one. I don't really see how you get Button out of that, but Button, pretty much any type of pronunciation you could come up with is going to be something they've used.
If we were over the pond in France, I might have said Bouton, but Bouton just makes so much sense.
About, and then same thing, Bouton.
Yeah, I was thinking about this morning. About it. You remember that song back in the day?
I've heard that song. Yes, I have.
Master P, I think, is who came out with that one. People are probably laughing at me now, but
tell your age a little bit.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, James, super happy to have you here. Love hanging out with you. Love learning with you. Tell us a little bit about who you are. Like, what makes up James Bouton?
So, James Bouton, I'll see in a nutshell. Let's put this together. 34 from Richmond Hill, Georgia. I got an amazing wife, 3 beautiful girls. Anything I do nowadays wouldn't be possible without them for sure. They help keep me guided, keep me straight and narrow, and down the path to deliver everything that they need to be successful in life or attempt to try all the time. Continual improvement, as we all like to talk about. My background is mechanical. I was service tech for 11 years, industrial and commercial. So I come from your high purity systems, your chillers, boilers, anything to do essentially with like the plant operations and such. Got to the GC world about 7 years ago. Loved it. Been a lean practitioner for about 4 years of it and love that even more. Yeah, that's kind of what makes up James Bouton, what keeps me driving for my ultimate item that I love, which is compassion. That's something that I focused on the last year and a half. Those things drive the compassion, which is what I'm about.
Yeah, I love that. And I speak from experience because you were in our superintendent lean coffee the other day, and there were a bunch of things, bunch of topics being tossed around, and you were the only one that talked about people and relationships and the need for it. Why are you so excited about compassion, and specifically compassion for people?
It really starts with something that I try to live as a mantra, which it's not always perfect, but I do try, is you never know the type of day that somebody else may be having. And this has really hit home for me. I had a friend in the past that decided to take a unfortunate way out and stuff. And you think about sometimes if somebody would have stopped and said, hey, what's going on? Or gave them that eye contact and like a smile. Hey, man, you're doing awesome today. It could have been the thing that deciphered which path he decided to go down. It could have been make him feel great about himself that day, pull those nasty thoughts out of his head. Or if you look at somebody and say, dude, what are you doing? Are you stupid? It could be the thing that drives them to make decisions to end it all. Suicide, as you've talked about in this industry, is ridiculous. It's something that we need to try to take care of, something that we all should focus on as mental health and the safety of the guys on the job sites and ourselves. Everybody knows construction can be stressful.
Yeah, I hate to hear that, man. It breaks my heart when I hear stories like that.
Yeah.
There's actually a really good poem out there, and there's no way I'm going to be able to remember it, but it's something about all I did was smile, and you actually saved somebody from dying by suicide that day.
Yeah.
And so really, your words really ring loud with me, because I think we've all, just working in construction, we've either known somebody or been affiliated with somebody who has died by suicide. And like you said, it's unacceptable. The rate is 5 times more likely to die by suicide than any other hazard on a job site. Yeah. And you've been on you're on a job site right now. You know how dangerous our job sites are.
Absolutely.
But yet we're still yelling at people for safety glasses and not tying off, and not yelling at them for going and get counseling or going to see somebody. Like, it doesn't make sense to me.
No, it doesn't to me.
Yeah, before we started, you mentioned like Lean and Love, things like this, books like this, or helping folks, or Jason Schroeder's class, really helping folks to say, hey, it's okay. You're not suffering alone, and we're doing something about it. So that gets me excited. But again, I hate to hear the story of your friend because it's very common in our industry.
It is, yeah. And we all know somebody. And there's even stories I've heard from other guys, even back when I worked in precast in high school. One of the guys I looked up to, this was, 2006 I graduated. This was like 2004. Drove a Mustang GT, just like dude had swagger, super cool. And I would say looked up to him as a mentor, we just admired him essentially. And coming one day, man, and he didn't show up to work. And then one of his good friends wasn't there either. So it was odd for them. And after a couple hours, the owner of the company figured out he had shot himself that night. And it's, man, you never really know. Of course, I was 16 at the time. So it's, man, why would this guy do it? So it kind of gave me the mindset. There was a gap in between where I didn't have that mindset from like 20 to 30 probably. But gave me the mindset to really start thinking about people, start caring about people, and having compassion for everybody.
And how does that skill relate to the job site? Do you get side-eye looks when you're on the job caring about people or what?
Used to, and this is working outside your comfort zone. I used to, somebody came to me with emotions and stuff, always had the old saying like, hey, I love it that you got your emotions. I don't care for them on the job site. If you want to have them, take them home to your girlfriend or your wife. I'm sure she'd love to hear about it because I don't have time. But that's not my mindset now. I've changed it completely. It's come on in here. You need a hug, man? Like I'll grab them and give them a hug.
You're hugging guys on job site?
Yeah, I'll do it, dude.
Oh, man.
We talk about a lot about just being happy on a job site and even dancing now. 3 days a week, I got a nice big Bluetooth speaker I put in the back of the buggy. And I'll ride around, dude, and I'll start dancing. Like, we'll dance, we'll put on some Queen or something like that. I'll get out there. We are the champions, whatever. And the guys, when I first started doing that on this job, it was like 2 people. And then like 15, 20 guys, concrete guys just stared at me like, man, this guy's, what is up with him? And now I can ride, now I can ride around, dude, and there might be 2 people that don't jump in and like actually start dancing and stuff too. Because used to in subcontractor meetings, I've always played Black Eyed Peas, Lady Humps, walking into a subcontractor meeting or trade partner meeting. And I don't care who you are as a grown man, when you hear that song, like you're gonna smile a little bit. So it always sets the mood. But it's just that those continual things let these guys know, hey, I like to have fun. But then that engages them to say, I can say, how are you doing? They'll really tell me. You can tell they have a smile on their face. They're like, I'm good, Mr. James, or whatever. You just really feel the energy that you pour into these guys come back to you. And it's a positive manner. Like I can't tell you which guy on the side I couldn't walk out to and say, hey man, I can't bend over and tie my shoe today. And he'd be like, oh, no problem, dude, I got you. Let me help you out. And then to have that feeling on a job site really it's awesome. It's amazing.
No doubt. So if I play the song, can you give me your best dance move with that?
yeah, I mean, I have to stand up and stuff. There's a couple of them. Usually like do the like get all this.
What do they call that?
I was just trying to think of the name of it. I can't. My daughter would be so disappointed in me.
What is it?
I know I'm dying and trying to remember it too.
Good night. Oh well, it'll come to us. Maybe somebody in the comments will help us out here, huh?
Yeah, hopefully so.
So what does that feel like when you mentioned the comfort zone, which I'm huge on, and I think that's part of developing capabilities, but what does that feel like when you're the only one dancing, and how do you convert grown men to dance?
So it feels stupid, essentially. Yeah, that's what I would go with it. But I know what the other side of it is now, and I know what comes out of it. And then, of course, the way I'll do it is I'm very bold, very blunt. Most of the superintendents are. So I'll start with the foreman. And I'll say, man, come on, dude. Like, you can't dance? Are you embarrassed or something about it? Like, I'm out here doing this looking stupid. Come on, dude. Let's have a good time. And usually I'm just such high energy. They'll be like, they'll start moving a little hand or something like that. Of course, when the people in the field see how silly you can be and how much you just want to share your happiness and excitement with other people, it transfers eventually because they'll start laughing at it. When you start laughing, you naturally release endorphins and you get excited yourself. So it really, before you know it, most of them might be laughing and nervous, but again, they'll turn into, they might be spinning around or like bobbing or something to the music. So, yeah, you're dancing, man. See, I told you it's simple. It just happened for you.
That's all it takes, man. I love your style, dude. I want to come dance on a job with you.
Come on, man. We do it.
So I hear you saying you feel a little bit stupid at first, but because of the end result, it's absolutely worth it. 100%.
Absolutely.
No questions.
Sure is.
That's phenomenal, man. I love that. Being different, being authentically yourself, that's so important. And I think that's something we learn, or at least I learned from Jason Schroeder. Just the way he's able to pull folks out of themselves is unbelievable.
Yes, it is.
So I know you went to one of his boot camps here recently. Can you tell us a little bit about that experience?
Yeah, man. It was outstanding. One of the best experiences I've had. Definitely top class I've probably been to. We had just an amazing experience. The teamwork that was created. We actually, I'll show you something real quick. If you've been to this class, you understand. So our team wound up coming home with one of these.
Oh, I did not win one of those, but that's pretty badass.
Our team actually wound up taking one of these home. And
what was your chant? What was your shout?
You talking about my war cry?
Yeah, that's what
my war cry was a huge scream, but my actual power move, I guess you could say, is ah, which is that.
Okay.
Yeah. Would you feel embarrassed about doing that?
Nah.
Nowadays, let's go with it, man.
Man, you got me so excited. I freaking I got so many directions I want to take it. Tell me a little bit about your lean journey. Like, where are you headed? Where have you been? What's it look like?
So, as most guys that have done it, when I first started it, man, it was a nightmare. I was actually taught, first time I was introduced to it, I was a senior superintendent. I was told that he pool planned. I was like, all right, cool. So I got sent down to sit through a pool plan. Well, I walk in this guy's trailer, and I'm just like, I'm like baffled. I'm like, man, this is like the cleanest. There's not papers everywhere. It looks good. It's nice and clean. The floor is shiny. Stuff's hung up on the wall. He's got whiteboards. Like this is sweet. So I sat through a pool planning session. I was probably like as confused as a toddler trying to change the tires on a car or something. Didn't really know what was going on. And I started my growth at that point myself. Got into researching what the last planner system was, pool planning, found out about some books. I think the first book that really put it in perspective was Joe and Keon with the Lean Builder. Of course, that's a must read for, there you go.
Are you just saying that because you're on the podcast right now?
No, I'm actually not. That was actually my book. That was what got me really involved in it and put everything, the storyline together to understand it. And then I started introducing morning huddles. That was the first thing. Morning huddles from there, went into the last planner system, started getting some pool planning, then realized how much you can just build off of it, the continual improvement aspect of it. And it's from there is went into learning about people, PPCs, 3-week look aheads, getting guys involved in that, tracking 3-week look aheads for PPCs. It's amazing. I'm actually getting into the TAC planning now after Jason's class. That's the next step for me is the TAC plan. I guess you'd call me like a novice intermediate, maybe. Still, there's so much to grow into out there. That's where I'm at. I'm learning the TAC planning side of things now.
I love that so much. TAC planning is so important. I love working with TAC. It is the answer to a lot of our issues. In fact, I shouldn't say it that way. I would say it's going to float or surface all of your problems. It won't be the answers to your problems, but it will make you see your problems weeks before you ever would have seen them before with a CPM or anything like that. Would love to have that conversation with you offline because there's something huge there that can really be a game changer with regards to getting work done in the field and removing the burden from our workers. That's exciting, man. And you're on it, you're believing it, you're continuously improve. Like, what things do you do to make yourself better on a daily basis?
So I do have a set schedule. I wake up, my morning routine. I've learned to try to develop that. I guess I've been out of Jason's class for a month and a half, so you can't really say it's a actual habit quite yet, but I do track a to-do list. I keep a to-do list in the office. So each category is broken into 45 minutes to continue to see how I can manage my time correctly throughout the day. That's something that I evaluate about every 2 weeks to see, can I keep this bucket? Can I get rid of this bucket? Is my time valuable in this resource? Am I giving enough to my assistant right now? Am I teaching him enough, giving him a little bit of time? Because I'm the type that when I train somebody or teach somebody, I want them to be better than I am. I want them to pass me. Like, I'm just happy to know that I'm one of your foundations for where you're going. That's how I look at it. That's really some of the biggest things is continuing to read. There's a lot of resources out here for self-development. Self-development, I feel, is the number one tier for your lean process. If you're not into it, if you're not in the mindset to continually improve yourself, How are you going to pass that on to your teams that are out there in the field or to your trade partners? Your assistant super, if you're not continually improving yourself and figuring out what that next piece is of the puzzle to help you really close your circle in, I guess you could say.
Yeah, leadership is everything. I think leading by example is super important. You mentioned starting internally, and there's a book called Leadership and Self-Deception. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but man, that book really gets you thinking about how and what I'm doing affecting other people. And so that's the answer to why can't I get trade partners to buy in?
Yeah.
You're either really boring or you don't know what you're talking about. Like one of those two things is going on. And if you can fix that internally, then you can get anybody to buy in on this stuff.
Yeah, I would agree. So I'm from the South, and actually I'm from Georgia. I've worked in the Boston area and up north and such. And one of my favorite things was I had a civil contractor, old school Bostonian, one of the best friends nowadays. But I started explaining the morning huddle. And he's just a high volume, high energy guy. And he's been a civil guy for 35 years and stuff. And he's like, man, I've been in this 36 years. I'm not doing any of this type of crap. Yada. Kept working on him. So there was one day I walked into the trailer and he's actually in there like wiping off the daily huddle board with a dry eraser and stuff. And he's also complaining about it at the same time. And I was like, man, you've actually bought into this. And this for me is like a monumental moment to understand that I have actually got you to really dive into this and understand the benefits from it. That's where if there's one thing, I think Keon and Joe say it, I think everybody says it. If you can at least start your morning huddles in your lean process, you'll see that the difference it makes on a job site is ridiculous. It's remarkable. And especially as I get guys talking in the morning huddles, especially when they're nervous and they're new to it, I'll say, while you're writing this number down or drawing this, could you talk a little bit more about it? Could you discuss it a little bit more? So you get those guys really starting to talk and stuff. And you actually find out that 15-minute hard stop becomes valuable after time. It's cool.
Do you use an Elmo doll?
Yeah, I do actually. I got a little pink Barbie dolls. What I got? I'll say, yeah. I got 3 girls, so I'm having plenty of resources to little cute things like that.
Oh man, that's amazing. 3 girls. The girls are the best.
Yes, they are.
Something about a girl and her father.
A lot of people say, man, you got it rough, and I disagree. I think I got it the best. I got 3 girls that'll look after me when I'm older and on my wheelchair or whatever it may be. I got 3 kids to look after me and to make sure daddy's okay, and especially look after their mom and such too. So I enjoy the girls, especially from the young phase. The boys like to run around. We're crazy. We just like to do all type of things, and the girls
holes in every wall. Yeah. How old are your girls now?
So my oldest is 14, my middle is 10, and my youngest is 3.
Oh man, we're very similar. I've got a couple 15-year-olds, so you feel free to give me a call when you want to talk some of that out.
Yeah, vice versa. I'll appreciate it. It's always
I'll be calling you in about an hour.
It's always nice to have those resources.
No doubt. So one thing that fascinates me is you work with a Japanese contractor. And so I'm really curious, just what things are they doing different? Or because a lot of this lean stuff comes from the Toyota mindset or the Toyota way. And so I'm just curious, is there any crossover, bleed over with just the Japanese culture, the Japanese mindset, and how that's working here in the United States?
There's a little bit. Each business is its own entity, essentially. So there's really no higher level, input from Kojima or Kajima or Tokyo or anything. So that being said, the Austin company does a lot of lean building processes, and then Batson Cook does a pretty good bit. On our manufacturing side, we do a little bit about it. There are some philosophies that come up with some of the guys. We actually have Tokyo guys that come over for the manufacturing side because we do a lot. We're actually doing a Toyota job right now up in Greensboro, North Carolina, I think. It's like a $1.4 billion job. It's a big building. So working in Toyota, naturally, they're working on work plans, flow plans, everything to associate with Toyota. Also, naturally, the construction guys over there want to see some of those things. But there's really not anything in particular that's on the KBD side of things. I'm actually one of the ones leading the forefront on the warehousing industrial side to really set up some SOPs for this is how we should do some lean things. This is how we should do this. If you want to learn, I'm glad to teach you. We have the resources for it. By all means, let's talk about it. Let's do it. So we're really starting to embrace the lean culture in our area, in our little bucket, if you want to call it, of Kajima.
That's awesome. What are some of the things that are realizing the most fruit for you?
The most fruit for me. So that would be, let me ask that question. What do you mean exactly there, fruit for me?
Yeah, I love it. Give me the country of origin of that question is what I always say. So like what things are giving you the best results from what you're experimenting with on a job site, right? Because you've got this laboratory where you're able to go and make little fine adjustments here and there, or daily huddles or visuals, or what are the things that you're doing that most people would consider lean that are making the biggest difference in your life?
That would have to be, in my opinion, the PPC is a big one, in my opinion. Like if you're tracking a PPC, it doesn't even matter how you track it. If you get some verbal commitments out of guys, I don't care if you've got a last planner system, a scrum, a TAC, whatever, you get your commitments. And then if you have a PPC, everybody likes to win. Everybody likes to be awarded. Everybody likes to feel like they did their job and stuff. And I'll actually do, if we hit like cookouts, if we have a PPC that's above 80% for the month or something like that, I'll do cookouts. I'll get out there on the grill myself. Let all these guys know, hey, I don't care if there's 100 of you out here. I'm going to come out. I'm going to grill. I'm going to start at 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to prep the Boston butts the night before. I'm going to do the cookout. We're not going to order anything in. I cook pretty good on a smoker and stuff. I'd like to do that. And that just engages everybody, man. So it's really how I feel like is let's say, receiving your trophy, standing up on your podium after you've hit these things, and all of us want to stand on that podium and be number one, essentially. So it's a team thing. The whole team succeeds. We all succeed. So you really get the good commitments. It makes guys tell you their constraints. And so if we got issues coming up, if we're talking about everything, it really wants them to get out there because we want to keep hitting this PPC. So that would be what really helps me the most, I would say. Besides actual people involvement, those things are important stuff, but they are lean focused too, but actually a part of the system that I would say would be my PPC as of now.
So please don't take this as a shock, but I hate PPC. Like,
Really?
with a passion. So I'm like, I'm a little over the top enamored with your answer of PPC. And I guess I'll dive in real quick for the reasons I don't like it. And then feel free to just murder me because it's that's fruit. But
like I said, I can learn tons from you. So I'm here to listen to you.
But yeah, and vice versa. And I think that's what makes the lean leaders. That's what lean builders do, is we always learn from one another. But for me, the PPC has been such like a misunderstood metric. I think there's theories where, like you said, folks want to hit this 80% metric. But then there's other jobs I visit that, we got to hit 100%. But if you're hitting 100%, are you really challenging yourself? And so there's that common debate in lean. Personally, I look at it as it's plan percent complete. So how accurate are you planning your job? And if you're only planning to 80%, I don't know that's it. But then if you're planning 100%, I get are you really challenging yourself? And so I got an issue with that metric a little bit. The other thing that bothers me about it is that's the stuff that we got done. Like, honestly, I don't really give a shit what we got done. I care about your PPI. I want to know what you have incomplete, right? Let's look at the reverse metric of that. Your PPI rate's 14%.
See, that's a new metric to me, the PPI. Yeah. I've heard it tossed around, but I just haven't gotten involved in that side of things yet. There's so many things out there still for me to touch.
Yeah, I think and to be quite honest, it's just something that has irked me. And so PPC can be super effective if everybody has the same mentality. If we all say 80% is our goal, I want you to challenge yourself, and we're all aligned there. But the other part of that is, and I know you don't do this, but on many job sites, that will become weaponized. And I'll come in, James, you got another 44% PPC. What the hell are you doing on the job site? What are your people stupid?
Yeah.
And you're like, whoa, but it just gives me some way to, and I didn't mean that by any means.
Yeah.
I hope you know that, but
yeah, I totally understand.
it just gives me a weapon to use against people. And so I am a big fan of team PPCs, like how are we performing together? I do like the fact that you're gamifying it. The one other thing that bugs the crap out of me with PPC is so many people track it as a number and then it stops there. It's like, timeout. You're doing all this work, but I know you're doing it for more than just a number. At the end of the day, if you're calculating a PPC and you're not using those reasons for variance to feed back into your plan, like, holy cow, the electrician is constantly short on labor, or the HVAC contractor doesn't ever have his materials here. Like, what?
Right.
You got to do something with that information. And so I think a lot of teams fall short where they're like, hey, yay, I got my 80% PPC for the week. And what about that 20% that you didn't finish on time? What were the reasons for that? And how are you making adjustments moving forward? And I think a lot of people miss that. Sorry, thank you for letting me hog the mic for a second.
No, absolutely, man. So I just learned something myself. And talking back to some of those points right there, we'll talk about how can we improve it? What can we do to change that? Is it a material flow problem? Is it a manpower issue? So we do take that information, or I do. I take that information, plug it back in to try to, but I'm not a man, like y'all just didn't do it last week. I'm not that type of guy anyway. So if we come in at 70%, chances are like I'm still going to do a cookout at the end of the month. It's just how it goes. It's like when a teacher tells you, y'all aren't going to go outside if you don't quit talking, but nobody quits talking and they still go outside and play. It's the same scenario for me. I'm more so let's teach you what this metric's used for, how we can use it to benefit our team, and then you guys are still going to get the cookout.
I bet your girls got you wrapped around their finger. Huh?
Oh, they do, dude. They do. For sure.
That's awesome. And I'm a huge fan of cooking for the team. I think that shows major respect because those folks are laboring for you all day, every day. And when you can turn around and labor for them to sit and eat, and I think there's something that really just bonds folks together. They're like, he's not such a bad guy.
Right.
Anyway, so
especially if you got good food. If you don't have good food, they might not like you.
You might have to be ordering out. Maybe the old dinner trick. You order it out, put it in a container, and hey, I made this for you.
Yeah.
Man, I'm already getting a feel for what it's like to work on your job, but I would love for you, because I've got this kind of love-hate relationship with the word culture. I'm sure you've picked up on some of that.
Yeah.
What does the culture on James Bouton's project feel like?
From the time you walk in to the job site trailer, the culture you're going to understand is the number one housekeeping on this job site. You walk into the trailer, it starts right here in this trailer. If you walk, I don't care if it's muddy outside, if it's raining outside. My assistant can hear me right now. He's probably saying, yeah, he does it in the background. Take your boots off at my door, sweep up the trailer. I don't like any mud on my trailer. I don't care if we got 6 inches of mud sitting outside the front door. If we can't keep this trailer clean, they will not keep this job site clean. And then it goes right to the bathrooms. It was Jason's huge on. And it's actually, I've been big about it, but now I'm just like over the top. My porta potties get cleaned 3 times a week. Instead of the one porta potty for 10 guys, I do one for 4. I try to keep everything nice and clean. So you're coming in, we're talking through safety orientation. I have project expectations. Some of the ideas I've got from Jason posted on the wall. It's pretty much his elevated superintendent posters that he has. I've just kind of taken some of the information, made a KVD poster out of it, and I posted them on the wall. And we talked through our safety. We talked through that. Those are 0 tolerance items for me. If you bring material out to this job site and you set it on the ground, I'm going to ask you to leave. It's 0 tolerance. It gets put on dunnage. It gets kept. If it's something on a slab, you're putting poly up underneath it. You're putting it on pallets. It needs to be movable and stuff. And it's 0 tolerance for that. I explain that to the guys. They appreciate it, especially once they get to know me and we go through that conversation and I'm telling them I love you. I'm just doing this for you and stuff. That really is the start of it. So then we get into safety orientation, moving through all those things. We get out to walking the site and stuff daily. I told you I keep the speaker in the back of the truck or back of the cart. I don't dance all the time, but I might just ride through making music. Come up and say, hey man, I appreciate everything you're doing. What do you need? How can I help you? Is everything going okay? And I've learned now to start asking, is everything all right mentally? Like you good? You need anything, to ask those questions. And I feel that I've developed relations or try to develop relationships individually with all these guys to really let them understand if you need something, you come to me. The open door policy you hear from people from time to time. I don't like to really use that because it's more of a team thing. The open door still separates I'm the boss, you're the worker type thing. But as you can approach me for anything, it's like you and I were talking earlier. I got the RAF face, so some people feel like I'm unapproachable and stuff. And that's not the case, and I want to know it. So I'm out there in the field talking to each one of the guys. And we'll have our daily huddle and stuff. Usually, it depends on the job. This one's at 7:30 in the morning. I don't have them at 7:30, but we get the guys moving, then we have a huddle. I like to have it prior to everybody getting mobilized. But I got some guys that just can't quite get here that early. And then, of course, you get into your afternoons. You got some walks out there, a safety audit that I like to do once a day. Just go out, check with the guys. If you don't have safety glasses on, we're going to talk about it once or twice, but after that, it's zero tolerance. I've talked to you a couple of times. You're gone, man, unfortunately. We might try a 3-day vac. Yeah, I love you, but you got to get out of this site. I can't live with the thought of somebody losing an eye, somebody getting hurt, just over your neglect to wear some safety glasses. If we're wearing it and I'm wearing it all the time, you guys can wear it too. I know it's not easy. I understand that when you're bent over trying to lay out panels and such, it's a pain. But you still got to take care of it.
They keep fogging up, James. I don't know. They just keep fogging up on me.
Right, yeah, I understand. So then after the afternoon walk, usually I'll come in because in Savannah it's 100 degrees this time of year usually, but we've had rain the last, 9 days now. So I pass out popsicles. I keep squinchers out here, and then I got a little KVD lunchbox, load it up, hit the site, take everybody a squincher pop in the afternoon times, and you'd be surprised how much grown men love popsicles and such. I even have to tell them, doors open, come get some. I don't want anybody to pass out on the site or get overheated or have a heat stroke. Come get a popsicle.
You ever seen the meme where they say if you got those squinchers, you're about to work 10 times harder on this job than you did on the
I would agree to it too, man. It's true. This is very true. I've had guys, matter of fact, let's say, for instance, I had a sub somewhere running to another sub, and we were in the same area or something. And it's like, this guy passes out popsicles on his job site and stuff. And that's what he's excited about and remembers. I'm like, hold on now. There's a lot of other good things on the job too. Let's not just talk about popsicles.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So I get this sense of just a culture of togetherness, of people looking out for one another. Absolutely. And what I love the most about it is you're the one initiating this, right? Like it's you who's starting internally. And if you're cooking for folks or providing popsicles or whatever it is in their time of need, chances are when it's your time of need, they're going to be there to help you out just the same.
Amen. And I will say that's the biggest thing I've learned from it. These guys when the fire's out there and something's got to happen, you know who your troops are. It's like the Winston Churchill. Like the guys are going to go with you. You got the structure to an extent. You got the structure to really move through it, and they're gonna form around you. You're gonna take that huddle, and the team's just gonna move forward together. They're going to help each other out best they can. It's not this is me, and they're stuck in their block. It's not like a waffle mindset, essentially.
Ooh, I like that. I've never heard of a waffle mindset, but I like that a lot. You got the donut mindset going on, huh?
Yeah, I could use a donut too myself right now. Speaking of.
Hey, I love it. We've talked a little bit about all the awesome things about the job. What's one thing on your job site you would want to change?
If I could change one thing, it would be getting the time moved up with my morning huddles. Like I said, I don't like starting some of these things after guys are getting moving and stuff in the morning. There's a nickname for Savannah, which is called Savannah. And so a lot of guys just like to get moving about 7:30 or 8 down here.
Oh,
so
wow.
it just kind of, it's a little bit, I'm from Savannah. This is the first time I've worked here in 7 years now. So it's just, I would try to get things moving a little earlier around this site. I feel like the mindset culture out here is awesome. Even some of the quality, because we do on our pre-con meetings, we'll actually talk me through, how are you going to install this? What's it going to look like? A mock-up, essentially. Some of these tilt panels, we don't actually do mock-up and stuff, or they get a little bit boring sometimes. But it's actually that would be my biggest thing, moving the morning huddles up.
Gotcha. I'm a huge fan of morning huddles at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
Get up at 6. Let's get together before we get folks moving on a job site, and then get them going.
Yeah, that's if I had the ideal world, that's what it would be. I noticed out west when I was out in Phoenix, the job sites we visited, it's more so probably because it's 1,000 degrees out there. But those guys are moving 5 o'clock in the morning, but you got sunlight and stuff too, so it makes a nice difference. I would much rather get that meeting beforehand than when the guys are moving, because you can still have I feel like it's a chance and an opportunity for waste. You can have something happen where you got some conflicts and stuff before that morning huddle, so you can have some detractors that come out of it by having it later.
Absolutely. I must stop at Arizona because I spent a couple years in California, and those guys were always surfing in the morning before work. They're kind of on that Savannah plan.
Yeah, that's funny.
Speaking of Savannah, have you ever been to a Savannah Banana game?
Yeah, man, they're getting a lot of popularity here lately. Jesse Cole, the guy that's the owner of it, is actually an awesome dude. Some of the mindset from the banana suit and stuff, man. He's got a lot of awesome things going on. And so it's super cool.
For those of us for those of the audience who aren't baseball fans or haven't seen the Savannah Bananas, how would you describe what they're doing right now?
It would be kind of like Harlem Globetrotters of baseball, essentially, man. It's a performance, it's excitement, it's just an experience, which is essentially what all of us that are lean builders are trying to do for our clients. And for the guys that are with us, it's an entire experience. And even some of the things that Jesse does, I enjoy it, love it. And it's like, man, I can adapt to this part of this mindset too. I can use some of these things. So he's got a book. I can't think of the name of it right now. I think it's called Yellow Something Tux or something. I can't remember. But it's actually a really good book. I've only seen excerpts of it. I always forget to buy it and read it.
Fans first.
Fans first. Yeah, there it is.
I'm going to buy it right now. Heck yeah.
Yeah, and it's really something that you can implement just as a lot of other things have done from when lean practice were actually taken by Glenn and Greg back in the day to really come into the construction market. And you can use those things too, adapt some of his mentality and stuff. So to make it instead of fans first, developers first.
Yeah, or make fans out of your developers. I've never thought about it as a lean approach, but that's exactly what he's doing. He's taking something that's run-of-the-mill, mundane for most people, baseball. Yeah. It gets boring for some people. But then he's like, I've seen a pitcher do a TikTok dance before he throws the baseball. Or instead of a walk-up, the batters walk up to the plate, they do the run-up. And it's just looking at baseball and how can we do this different? Like you said, it's a performance. It's more entertaining for the fans. Jesse Cole took everything he had and invested it in this team and almost went bankrupt a few times. But now the team is flourishing. They're on ESPN. It's like it's almost a production now.
Yeah, they've got a little series now too. I don't know if you've seen that.
I haven't. No. Yeah. Man, I'm excited.
On ESPN.
Yeah, I'm a huge Jesse Cole fan. I cannot wait to read this book.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm probably going to prioritize it over what I'm currently reading, Signal and Noise. And again, the Yellow Tux, like everything he's doing, it's a lean mindset. It's that Chick-fil-A of fast food, right? They're the different baseball team. And I love what you're saying. What can we R&D, as we call it on this show? What can we rip and deploy from what Jesse Cole and the Savannah Bananas are doing and apply it to our job site? What would be really cool is how do we get a conversation with him and ask him that question? That would be freaking amazing.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool, actually.
We got to figure it out. I read an article from him a couple weeks ago. It's like, if you want to get my attention, you got to do something special, where somebody sent him like a shoe and said, if you want it was like a nice Jordan or something. And like, if you want the other one, give me a call at this number so we can discuss business and I'll give you your other shoe. Doing stuff like that. So maybe we can come up with a clever way to get in front of him to find his mind.
Yeah, somehow. I'll tell you, like, they got just some of the things they do. They do the Grand Nanas, I think is what they call it, where they have a team of grandmas that comes out in between innings and stuff, and they do choreographed dances and such. Some of the experiences in the crowd is a lot of research from any type of business that shows kids are a big influence as to what their parents decide to purchase. So McDonald's is the Happy Meal. You got all these types of kid-focused things that gets a parent to go there so we can get our kids to give us a break for just a few minutes. So there's a lot of that. Like, they actually come out in the crowds. They'll have the pitcher, if he's the last in the lineup, he's out there in the crowd talking to kids, giving some of the little girls roses. Just so many different types of things to create that atmosphere where the kids are like, Mom, Dad, I want to go to Savannah Bananas game. Let's go to a Bananas game. And of course, us as parents, we love it also. It's like, all right, well, my kid enjoys this. So yeah, let's go back. Let's buy season tickets. Let's, and most of his games are sold out now. You can't even, they're sold out at the start of the season.
Really?
So getting tickets, yeah, unless you're somebody or you have a group or something, like our church gets a pretty good amount of them. We'll do a church night out there and stuff. It's really an awesome experience in total to see all the different things that are done out there. It's a production now.
And there you have it, folks. We're talking about baseball on a lean building podcast. I love it. There are a bunch of tricks, right? Like, how can we pull some of the things out of what he's doing? I read a book called This is Lean by Nicholas Modig, and he talked about the healthcare system and how before it was the doctors who we were trying to flow. But the doctor's time is the most important. The doctor is the resource, right? It come to find out when we flip that script and we focus on the patient and flowing the patient, like we might make some of the doctors inefficient through that process. We focus on the patient and we flow the patient through the doctors in lieu of the doctors to the patient. We're able to do things faster. We're able to do things with more meaning, and we're beating cancers. We're beating diseases because of our time. And so when I think about what Jesse Cole's doing, it's not about the baseball player anymore. It's not about the baseball game even. It's about the fans having an experience. So they've, again, done the same thing. Like they've shaken this whole thing up and they said, look, it might be a little painful to play for the Savannah Bananas because now you're not just a baseball player, but you're an entertainer, you're a performer, but you understand that going to the team. And it's about the fans. And without the fans, you don't have a baseball team. And so I love that Jesse Cole can recognize that and then pull an entire organization around the fact that we're going to focus on the fans. Yeah, baseball players are important. We couldn't do this without you too. But fans drive the action. So, man,
fans first.
Yeah, fans first. Hell yeah, that's probably a good title for this podcast. Tell me, because it sounds like everything you're telling me is like you're making fans first too, right? Like you're going out there and dancing and cooking and doing all this stuff, demanding cleanliness on your jobs that really promote an environment that's not necessarily for the owner, but it's for the people building the job, which is a different mentality. It's a different mindset.
Yeah, I would agree. It absolutely is. And as you do that work, it feeds back into you, essentially, is how I feel about it. But just like with it, in his case, the fans show up. The fans are there. Everybody wants to go. And people talk about manpower issues in this industry a lot right now. And I can't stress enough, if you're someone who's compassionate and you run your lean philosophy job site, essentially, those guys, because your flow is there, your work is there, they want to come to your site. It's enjoyable to come to your site. So if you're pressed and you need these manpower, chances are they're going to try to pull you the resources because they don't want to be over there on job X or Y where they're not having meetings. They're not talking about anything. The job site's a wreck. It's unorganized. Nobody's coordinating.
They don't give me freezer pops over there. What the heck?
So I feel like I can get the resources on a job sometimes when I need them because a lot of, like I said, they want to come out to work out here. Chances are you're not going to be wind up remobbing 15 times because I'll tell you to come on, but I'm nowhere near ready for it. If I'm not ready for it and I keep thinking I am in my morning huddle, I'm going to have 5 or 6 foremen say, dude, we're not ready for that yet. Like, we can't keep pushing that. Yeah. So,
They start holding you accountable.
Yeah.
There you go, y'all. We got James Bouton, the Jesse Cole of construction, baby. Love it.
All right.
I couldn't think of a better nickname than that.
Yeah, I like it. Thanks.
Let's do this. I'm a huge proponent in elevating other people. I think that's one of the things that sets me aside from most. I love focusing on others in lieu of myself. So I'd love to give you that chance. Just shout out who helped makes James Bouton, who helped put you in that chair that you're in now. Who can we shout out and why?
Number one, I'm going to say God. God's given me the resources and the opportunity and the passion and wherewithal to continue this. Yeah, absolutely. To continue this path and put me in the position I am and really help me to understand the compassion for others and such. Number two, be my wife, all the things she's put up with for me for every years and being a great construction wife. We've been together since sophomore year of high school. So we've been through for a long time together. So that's definitely number two. 3 would be my kids for sure. Just give me that motivation to get in the better life that we had naturally. Always that next step, trying to leave your legacy and such. Then it'd be to my parents. And my dad, dude, was one of the hardest workers I know. There was many nights my family owned a propane business. My grandparents did, and he also worked a full-time job too. So I'd run the propane truck with him sometimes during the winter till 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, pulling hose, dragging hose, hooking up the tanks, and really got my work ethic from him. And it's that continual, I always like to joke, my 70% is a lot of people's 100. So I say that when I have a cold, that's always sorry, I'm still sick, but I can still do such and such.
I'll still outperform you then.
I still run circles running. So that would be the shout outs I would give. And then of course the whole lean community as a whole, man. It's amazing the opportunities now. And I think I've heard other guys on your podcast say it. You bring all these resources in from different aspects of life that have had different stories and different paths and different backgrounds and such. And all of us communicating, all of us talking about these things and how we do this and how we do that. It's just, there's so much opportunity out there. And it's actually awesome to see all the egos drop down from especially a lot of lean guys. Like none of us will bring these egos to these things because it's pointless. We all know that. So it's just giving everybody the opportunities, man. There's so much going on inside of our community and the changes and such. It's just awesome to be a part of. So shout out to everybody that's taking those steps to change this industry and really move it to where it should have been years and decades ago. We're really starting to understand the emotional game of it and such. It's not like an old Roman Empire anymore where we're just like, go guys, like it's, move.
Yeah, it's coming a long way. We're really starting to see blurred lines with regards to just companies protecting their own way of doing things. That was something I was shocked. I've worked for a few different major GCs, and everywhere I went, construction was just as messed up as it was the place before. And that's when it dawned on me, like, holy cow, this isn't a company problem. This is an industry problem. Yeah. Yet we all have these walls up and we don't want to show each other that all of our problems are the same problems. It just doesn't make sense. But the things that we're doing now with that lean, that coffee, that superintendent coffee that we do once a month.
That's awesome, by the way.
Dude, I get so excited from just the ideas and the innovations that are being shared. And I'm ready for that to start being in person. I'm ready for folks to be like, hey, James, next superintendent coffee is on your job site in October. We're all going to just show up on your doorstep and learn
awesome.
from you. Maybe one day that will be the transition that we make. But it is really cool to be a part of this because it's much overdue. Like you said, our workers have been suffering for way too long. And we're here and we're doing something about it. And it starts with folks like you getting out and just dancing or cooking or playing music, doing things different. The Jesse Cole way of building buildings.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great reference too, Adam. That's awesome.
Yeah, your Savannah location brought that out of us. So
yeah, it did. I would have never even thought about it that way, but it really is.
And then you got the Florence Flamingos are coming up soon too. You better watch out. They're
I know. If I'm not mistaken, Jesse owns both of those teams now.
Oh, does he really?
Yeah, there's another team that he purchased, and it's their league. It's pretty cool. It's just like the Harlem Globetrotters again. They got their kind of their league they play in, and of course the Savannah Bananas are champs of it. So as long as they maintain that, that's all we care about.
I didn't know that. I have a Flamingos hat, believe it or not.
Yeah, it might not be that team. It might be another one, but there's another team out there that's part of the Savannah Bananas.
Man, that's exciting. So another quick question, and we're getting a little bit late on time, but it's gone so fast. What phrase or words just drive you nuts when people say them, use them, talk about them?
I can't.
Ooh, why?
I can't, or I don't know, too.
What's the trigger there?
Can't is a word. My grandmother, this is something that's probably beaten into me by her, is when we used to say can't as a kid or anything, she would always do the little engine that could. I think I can, I think I can, I think I can, like a little choo-choo train.
The train, yeah.
Yeah, and that's just stuck with me, man. Like it's us as superintendents and us in construction, if we were to not can't all the time, when I got a new job site location, not even the address, I can't go out there and say, I can't figure this out. I don't know all these woods. What is this? Can't is a word that is controlled by our mind, and mindset, as we all know, is important. You can't. If you say you can't, if you say you can, you're going to figure it out, and you just have to go. You have to push. You got to make these mistakes because we've all made countless mistakes in this industry. You just got to keep going. So the can't. If you say you can't, I'm going to teach you how you can. Number one, and then can't is just not allowed on the job site. Don't come in the trailer and say can't. because it's a fictitious word. It's not something that's going to work out here on this job site.
I love that. I often say the same thing about the word try. So, no,
Yeah.
you're not going to try, you will. And that's a mindset. And how does it go? The words that we use are what programs our software, right?
Yeah.
So your mind is your software, and the words that you're using are programming that on a daily basis. If you said it, if I say I can't, I will never.
Yeah.
If I say I can, I will figure it out. And
Yeah.
if I don't know, I will know because I know somebody that will figure it out, or I'll Google it, or I'll YouTube it. I'll try it and screw it up and learn from my mistakes. That's the whole fail forward, fail fast. That whole concept of we're failing. When we're failing, we're learning. And
Absolutely. Transformation. That's a big thing. We're continually transforming. It's what keeps us in the lean mindset and keeps us continually improving.
I love it. On that note, what's a lean builder through your eyes? What does a lean builder do?
A continual improvement guy, type of person.
That was
Somebody
too easy.
Yeah, I'm gonna get into elaborate a little bit. It's just somebody that's always going that extra step to realize how to reduce waste, to really think through things, to engage people, to just take an overall picture and constantly study it, constantly evaluate it to see what can I do to make everybody more successful inside of this picture. If I was to take a snap or even like an overview of the site, we always try to have a perch on a job site so you can start seeing flow. It's just somebody that sits back and evaluates that, man. They look at it and say, this isn't going this way, this isn't going that way. My guys, their attitude's not that great. Why is it not that great? It's just continually moving through these steps and these benefits to pass this information on to others to make them more successful. Any trade partner you have, if I can help those guys flow better on the job site, operate better, operate with less guys, operate with less material on site, using it as it comes in, less waste, less manpower, because we have a good flow and we don't have 5 guys standing around. Those guys are going to want to work for you, like we talked about earlier, and they make more money when they do it that way. So of course they're going to want to work for you. So it's just those continual things, man, that just you got to take those steps to make these guys want to be on the sites, to move through trainings, to move through plannings and stuff like that, to really make everything streamlined, to get good flows, to make cash, to help these companies make cash. Because if we don't have good trade partners and stuff, we're not successful. So that's, you say continual improvement, which we all know, yes, is basic, but that would be my in-depth dive into why I say continual improvement.
I love it. Just be like Jesse Cole on the job site, right?
That's it. Just go to the job site. Even flows, doesn't it?
Keep experimenting, man. That's how we learn. That's how we get better. And yeah, we're going to fail sometimes, but it's okay because we're going to experiment again and see if that drives us closer to the milestone. That's that Toyota Kata approach, right?
Absolutely.
Know our overall goal of where we're heading. Be comfortable with our current condition. Find that next milestone and then experiment the hell out of it until you get to that next milestone. That's it. That's
absolutely. Absolutely.
Man, this has been super fun. Tell me, feel free any direction you want to take this thing. You can hit me with a question. You can mic drop it. You can the show is yours, man. Take us out with a bang.
So this would be my question. What drives you to get this podcast out to everybody and really push you to do what you're doing, man? That's what I want to hear.
Man, thank you for the question. I'll start by saying it's a labor of love. There is no money behind this thing. There's no business coming in behind this thing. It's a love for the worker, right? I often remember myself being 17 years old in a ditch with corn floating in it. I was a plumber, right? And it was a nasty ditch. And I always seemed to be that go-to plumber. One, because I was the newest one on the totem pole. So it was like, get your ass in that hole where that stanky stuff is. And then 2, I was just willing to do whatever to make the job happen. And I was just a good teammate and wanted to make it happen. And over that time, I just remember like eating my lunch on a toolbox in the hot sun, and it's a sandwich, right? With just my hands are net. And it just, those are the conditions that people are working in on a daily basis. And it's bullshit, man. And it's people like me and you who have the authority, have the ability to change those conditions. And some of us aren't doing it yet. Some of us are still being silent and being okay with that group of folks who eats their lunch over there, but yet we're in the trailers, we're using nice restrooms, we're not in the porta johns, we're not. It's just, I hate to use the word unfair because I think that's illegally tossed around these days, but
Right.
there is a concept of fairness to it. To be 100% transparent and have a little bit of awkward conversation with you, those workers don't look like me and you. And
Right.
that's a problem. And we need to acknowledge that as an industry. And then once we acknowledge that, we really need to figure out what are we doing about it and how are we making those conditions better. And so for me, that's why I'm doing this podcast.
That's awesome.
It's 2 or 3 hours a week. It does take up way more time than I had ever anticipated it to, but I wouldn't change it for the world. To have a platform of the Lean Builder, which those guys are just phenomenal. You want to talk about two dudes that live what they say and say what they live. Joe Donnarumma and Keon Zandy. Those two are very magical in what they do, and they really care for people. And I think that's
awesome.
what draws me so much to you as well. Again, you understand how valuable people are. You understand that relationships are everything. And so, yeah, I really appreciate that question. Nobody's ever hit me with that. And I've been lamenting actually over the last 2 or 3 weeks. It's, man, this is a lot of work. And I'm starting school. Like today is actually my first day of college. I'm getting my master's degree at Clemson. And so I've got that. I'm a graduate assistant there. So I'm putting in 20 hours with them. I'm working a little with Jason Schroeder. I got my construction ache solution. Like I'm doing all this stuff, and 3 or 4 hours is valuable time in my world right now.
Absolutely.
But to hear the things that you said before we started recording and to get some of the feedback we're getting, it makes it all worth it. The industry is changing. It's 100% worth the effort, worth the labor of love.
Yeah, just to close, something quick to close with.
Yeah,
we talked about mental health and we talked about stress. Naturally, you've got 10 million things going on, it sounds stuff. But one thing just to put out there, and I recommend to guys, is there's a book called Kingdom Man by Tony Evans. It's a Christian-based book, essentially. It's not super in the weeds about Christianity, or doesn't beat it down or anything. But there's one thing in there that talks about the happy tree. And at the end of the day, is you locate your happy tree. It doesn't matter if it's when you walk out your job site and it's the fence in front of it, or if it's a tree pulling in your neighborhood. When you find that point, you stop at that point and you just let it all go for the day. And once you start doing it, it's really powerful. It's weird to start with, just like everything that when we take these new steps. But if you find that happy place or that happy tree, you stop, you reflect, you let everything from that day go, and you stay there. So when you walk into home or you walk into wherever you may be going, you're in that mindset of all my stress is gone. All my stress is set back there on that tree limb or set back there at that, wherever it may be. And when you go back the next morning, when you go back by it, you pick it back up, and you'd be surprised the things that will drop off of it when you get to that mindset. So that's just a recommendation. It's a good book, How to Cope with Some of the Stress that we deal with. And that's just something I'd like to throw out there for everybody.
Man, I love that. You got me buying 2 books now. I wish I could read 2 at one time, but I can't.
I've got 2 from you also, the first 2 we talked about. So,
where's your happy tree? What does that look like?
My happy tree is actually a tree when I pull into the neighborhood. It's actually just it's a point, and this isn't some big like tree. It doesn't have to just be that. It can be an imaginary thing in your mind when you cross a red light or anything. But mine's actually just when I pull in the neighborhood, there's a tree right there. I know that's the point. I think it's a little crepe myrtle. That's the point. Let it go. You got kids that want to see you in the house. It doesn't matter the RFIs I didn't have answered by the architect today that's going to hold me up tomorrow, or change order it wasn't executed that's going to stop this. All that stuff's gone. I pick it back up in the morning. And it's something that you don't always leave 100% of it. Sometimes you might leave 90%, but you got to try to focus. Leave everything at your happy tree. Dude,
that's freaking awesome. Hang your roadblocks up on the tree. You heard it here from the Jesse Cole for construction. But James, thank you so much, man. This has been quite amazing, and we got to have you on again. I'm coming to visit your job. We're going to dance. Like, we are going to have a freaking blast, man.
Yeah, thank you. Absolutely. Thanks for what you do.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it. All right, man. Take care.